Welcome to Brewed in Monmouth, the real estate tea with Kate and Doreen. We're here to talk homes, hometown gems, and real conversations with the entrepreneurs and locals who keep Monmouth County buzzing. I'm Kate, and as always,
I'm Doreen. Each week, we're bringing you the voices behind the businesses, the stories behind the sales, and the tea you need to hear. So grab your favorite drink, and let's get into it.
welcome to another episode of Brewed in Monmouth. We're here with Keelan, and we're so excited. He is very involved with Stephy's Place in Red Bank, which is a grief counseling service, and so much more. So thank you so much for taking the time today.
You're very welcome.
Yeah,
it's
truly a
you.
privilege to have you here and share everything you've experienced through that place with us.
Oh, it's really a great opportunity to share about Stephy's Place because I'm so excited about, it's our 10th year, our 10th anniversary this year. So
Wow, congratulations.
yeah, and it went so fast. So I'm just eager to tell people about it because I really think it's a miracle that exists in Monmouth County, and there's nothing like it, I don't think, anywhere, really.
What's the story behind
Well,
it?
but even that, just to say what it is. To take a
Yeah, I'll
step
show you
back.
what it is first. So it's not counseling. Stephy's Place is a grief, and it's a center for grief and loss, but it's peer support, and that's what makes it so different. We don't have to pay counselors. We have trained facilitators, all people who have been through groups themselves. So we offer support groups for people. Our groups are for adults, people who lost a spouse or a partner, a child, or who have lost a parent, adults who lost parents, who lost siblings. We have groups for that. And we have groups for loss to suicide. I actually facilitate 3 of those groups myself. So those groups are mixed. You could have lost a friend or a loved one to suicide, but they're all welcome in those groups. The other groups are particular to the loss. So you would be with people who lost a spouse or a partner, or if you're in a loss of child group, you would be with other people who lost a child. So it really makes a difference to be in a room with other people who have had that loss because they're the ones who get it.
Are you still a priest, or did you?
No, are we recording?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't matter. I don't mind saying that. I was a priest 23 years. I was actually ordained right in Keensburg.
Wow.
And I was with the Augustinian order, which runs Villanova and Merrimack College. That's where I went to. I always call that the bastard child of Villanova. So I went there and joined the order, and I was with them for quite a few years. Then I went to the Diocese of Trenton. And when I was with the diocese, I was, 2001, I was in Holy Cross in Rumson. And that's when 9/11 happened. I think we lost 22 parishioners that day. Yeah, it was unbelievable. Are we on? Yeah, Steffi. So a lot of people, I love to tell the story of Stephy's Place because it's not a short story, but it's an incredible story. It all started 9/11. Back then, I was a priest in Holy Cross in Rumson. We probably lost 22 or more parishioners that day. And the pastor and myself went to every home and knocked on the doors and met with the people who lost loved ones. It took quite a few days, but we did it. And one of the people I met was Sheila Martello, who just moved into Rumson just 2 weeks before, a few weeks before 9/11. So no one really knew her, but we knew she lost her husband. So I knocked on her door, and I brought her we started a support group. And it was a wonderful support group. Not everyone lost spouses. A few lost children. I had one person, she lost her sister and her husband that day. So it's a lot of loss,
Yeah, it's heavy.
So we had to do something. So I started a support group with a few other women who were amazingly intuitive and active and spiritual in the parish. So we said, let's start a support group. So it was all women. The men didn't want to come. The men are hesitant for these things. I don't know why, but back then they were. And it worked so great. They met every Tuesday morning. If you remember, 9/11 was on a Tuesday, so we decided to meet on Tuesdays at 9 o'clock, which was... And it was Tuesday got them to the next Tuesday, and that got them to the next Tuesday. And it got them together, and they formed these bonds, amazing bonds with each other because they all went through the same, tragedy and trauma. So fast forward to 10 years ago, Sheila Martello, whose door I knocked on, she observed her sister, her brother-in-law died, and she observed her sister's grief, and she realized her sister didn't get the support she had. So when she lost her husband, it was a national tragedy. So there was so much support. But she's watching her sister not getting the support, and she's like, I want to open a grief center. And I want to offer the same support we got for anyone. And I want to have it free of charge because ours was free. I want it to be free. And Stephy's place is free. It's a 501c3. We never charge a cent. And people come to our groups, for that support. Why is it named Stephy's Place?
Yes.
A lot of people ask that. Sheila, after her husband Jimmy died, started a foundation in his memory, and she did some fundraising. And with that money, she did like a Make-A-Wish program. And one of the things, she was introduced to this woman, Stephy, who had 3 children. And her husband was, Stephy was diagnosed stage 4 lung cancer. And her husband left her, which is sad. So she's got 3 kids. She knows she's going to die. She meets Sheila. Sheila falls in love with her. She was so amazed by Stephy. Stephy was in the Army and the Navy. She was in the CIA. She was an amazing woman, amazing human being.
Hope she kicked her husband's ass. Man.
We won't go there. But Sheila just fell in love with her. So when Steffi was passing away, Sheila said, my dream has always been to start a grief center to offer the support that we got, and I'm going to name it after you. And that's what she did. And Steffi's family is very involved in our center. Her sisters are very involved. Her family come to our walks and different events that we have every year. And I believe Steffi's all over the place, all over our center, because there's so much healing happens there, so many good things. People wonder, a grief center, that must be a sad job. It's not, because I get to see people heal,
You're giving them hope.
And giving
you also
them hope.
handled divorces too, divorce?
We did have a group for loss to divorce, but it kind of, we had several, but they just kind of faded out. So we're just, right now, we'll probably do that again if the need arises. But we're very limited in space. We only have about 5 rooms. So, but we have 500 people a week in and out of
Wow.
Stephy's. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And our groups for loss of spouse or loss of child run 2 years. So it's not like you're in and out.
And it's weekly?
It's bi-week, every other week, yeah. But our group for loss of parent runs 10 weeks consecutively, and the group for loss of sibling the same, 10 weeks consecutively. But for loss of child or loss of spouse, it's 2 years. So they really get to know each other and connect with each other,
Is something like this recommended to do immediately following the loss, or just whenever it feels right for that person? Like, is there a sweet spot in the time to heal?
Wow, that's a great question. I'm going to answer it like in a long way. The first part of the answer is no 2 people grieve the same. Grief really is like snowflakes or fingerprints, because our grief comes off of our relationship, and no one else has that relationship, right? Even if it's a child, the other siblings don't have the same relationship you do. So it's very particular to the relationship. So everyone grieves differently, and if they're ready for a group or not, it's going to be different for everyone. So we usually, if someone seems like they're pretty raw, like maybe they're not ready for a group, we like to meet with them one-on-one and do an intake before. And then we might ask them to wait a few weeks or a month or 2 before coming in. So that's a great question, but it's kind of different for everyone. We usually, not right away, I always say at least wait 2 months. Because when you're so raw, nothing anyone says or anyone can do will make a difference. There's nothing anyone can do when you're really raw. I say that's when you're in ICU and grief, very little helps. But then, when that initial shock, kind of just a little bit opens up, it allows us to perhaps be open to that support that we can get in a support group.
Yeah. This is going to be a hard one. My mother passed away a year ago, and like already, like it just doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't.
Crazy, yeah. Anyway, okay.
No, but that's why organizations like this are so important, because people are carrying a really heavy burden.
Yeah.
And they don't know what to do with it.
And I'd love to talk a little bit about that with you guys today,
Please do, yes.
But before then, can I have a water?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. I am so parched. Do you mind? Thank you. Is that all right to do?
Totally fine. They can edit.
Okay, good.
They can edit.
I love editing.
So I probably have so much grief that I never, we're not recording, right? That I never probably properly processed. My brother died in a very tragic train accident 10 years ago.
Damn.
That was May 15th. August 4th, that summer, my best friend's son took his life by suicide.
Oh, God. Thank you so much.
When we're ready, we can.
I lost my cousin, his wife, and their unborn child in 9/11. My brother was working in one of the buildings, I forget, but he was in the financial center, so he wasn't there when it got hit. And he just moved to Chicago. He got up and just, whatever. Couldn't handle being here. My other brother, my older brother, was a firefighter in New York City, but was not working that day.
Wow.
So he was like second, on there. Yeah. He wasn't there when the fire trucks were all he was there after the buildings kind of came down. And then my mother just died tragically in a weird way, out of the blue, she had cardiocath. Like, you don't die from getting a cardiocath. They do that day in and day out.
Yeah.
Right? So she did, and it was just a year.
Oh, boy.
In January.
Yeah. And a year is nothing.
Nothing.
Right.
And that's why, I am so on the brink of, I don't know, so I'm not going to talk much.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the thing. That's why we started Stephy's Place, because a support group can make all the difference in the world for somebody. And like I said earlier, it's not therapy, it's not counseling, and those things are very, very helpful, absolutely. But a support group is a very unique thing, because you're in a room with other people and you're just sharing your grief with them and learning from each other. Of course, there's a facilitator in the room, but they're just a little further down the road. They're not an expert. No one is actually in grief. There are no grief experts. Only the person who's grieving is the expert of their grief, But it really is helpful to get people together, because then when you're in the group, it gives you the opportunity that you feel like maybe perhaps you missed, which is to lean into it. The only thing that heals grief is to grieve. Mm-hmm. The only thing that heals grief is to mourn. And there is a little bit of a difference between grief and mourning, because grief is all the stuff we're feeling inside, and we can bottle that up, but it does get bigger. It's inside us. And mourning is what gets it out. So grief doesn't heal without mourning. Mourning is crying, sobbing, talking about it, writing about it. Any way we can get it from the inside out is what heals grief. And that's why the support groups are so helpful, because it gives people the opportunity to talk about it, unreservedly, because everyone signs off on, confidentiality. So it's wonderful. And I always encourage people, curse up a storm, because it's very cathartic.
Yeah,
So you hear from our rooms, you hear some pretty interesting stuff. My favorite sound, though, is laughter. Believe it or not, in a grief center, you hear laughter from the rooms, because that means healing is happening. It's amazing to hear that. It's my favorite sound, So, I think that to give ourselves the opportunity to mourn, there's a great book called Permission to Mourn by Tom Zuba. It's I always give it out. I can't anymore. We can't afford it. But I invite people to get it for themselves now. It's a thin book. It's an easy read. And he wrote it for people who are grieving, because it's written in like a prose, It's not heavy. Because sometimes when you're grieving, it's hard to even absorb a paragraph,
Concentrate.
It takes a lot of room in the head. So he wrote it in such a way that it's very user-friendly. And so if anyone's listening, I highly recommend, if you've just embarked on grief, if you just had a loss, check out Tom Zuba's book. It's called Permission to Mourn. Very,
Zuba
very
with
good
a Z?
with a Z, Z-U-B-A, yeah.
Okay. Permission?
I also wrote a book, but I wrote it for Stephy's Place, so it's kind of an in-house book. But when we had the pandemic, we couldn't get our groups together, right? So somebody gave a good donation, and we put in a system for Zoom. It was wonderful. So we were able to connect with our groups through Zoom. But the director, Sheila, asked me to write reflections each week to kind of keep people connected. So they're all reflections on grief. So I took like the greatest hits of those and I put it into a book. It's called The Threshold of Grief. So if anyone wants that, just call Stephy's Place. Or
do you sell them? Can we buy them from you?
Yeah, it's $25. That includes shipping and sales tax. I originally did it as a fundraiser, and I was selling it for a lot more, but I'm just trying to get it out there now because people are telling me they're finding it helpful. So,
oh, that's great.
Yeah, I want to. So my email is kevinkeelan@me.com. That's KevinKeelen @me.com. And if you want a copy,
we'll make sure to get people know where to find it.
Yeah,
so, is Stephy's Place a non-denominational? Because I know that you mentioned that you were a priest. So is it?
Oh,
yeah,
we're not religious.
No.
Yeah, we are totally not religiously connected. I was
it kind of goes
priest.
hand in hand, the grief and then people's feelings about the afterlife. And
well, it's wonderful because we're not religiously connected, but we're definitely spiritual in our mission. You know, because spirituality is a part of the healing in grief. So, but we you know what's amazing? When I was a priest, I was a Catholic priest. I only worked with Catholics. Right now, I work with atheists, agnostics, Jews, Christians, Muslims, Catholics,
all
Protestants,
under the same roof.
And they all have the same experiences of connecting with their loved ones, either receiving signs from them or just, feeling their connection. It's amazing to me that on the other side, there's no religion. That's on this side, right? Now, I'm not poo-pooing it because, I think it serves a wonderful purpose. But I think we all have to kind of remember that. Like, I don't think we're going to be interviewed before heaven, like what pew did you sit in and, what congregation were you in. I don't think that really happens. I'll probably get in trouble for saying that. But I can't anymore. I left. I'm happily married now. I left the priesthood. I have no regrets whatsoever. I truly love Christian spirituality, Catholic spirituality, but I've been opened up to so much more, really, since working at Stephy's Place these 10 years. It's so beautiful, and I've realized, I know I'm getting a little spiritual on you, but
I like it.
We can't put God in a box, and God came out of the box for me, and you can't put God back, but God still exists, but just bigger than ever. And broader than ever, But grief is love. And some people say grief is love that doesn't know where to go.
I've heard that.
Right? But I truly believe, because I've been walking with people all these years, it does have a place to go. They still do receive our love, and we still receive their love. Love is what connects us forever. The relationship doesn't have to end in death. We have to grieve the physical loss. It's so important. But what I love is when I can see people getting that spiritual connection to their loved one on the other side. It can make it in my life. I lost my sister to suicide back in 2000, the year before 9/11. And I lost a niece to an overdose, and I lost a nephew to suicide.
Oh, gosh.
My father died when I was 20. So it's more my losses that bring me to do the work that I do, than my training,
Mm-hmm.
And those losses, like I receive beautiful signs from my loved ones, beautiful signs. And I share them in my book. But I get to hear other people's signs every day. And that's why I love what I do so much, because I like data. I like empirical data. I'm not very interested in opinions anymore, but I love data. And I get data every day in my job from people from their loved ones on the other side. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I do too, and I know that sounds, really hokey, and sometimes I think my brothers might roll their eyes at me, but you really do, and I think there's no harm in believing.
No harm in believing.
No.
And you know what? After 10 years in doing this, well, really 30 years, because I've always done grief work, no room for doubt.
Yeah.
No room for doubt. And that's the name of my next book. I'm going to call it No Room for Doubt.
Oh, I love that.
Don't you love that?
Yeah.
And I'm going to share some of these amazing stories that I get to hear. But I've learned so much from grieving people, the people who come to Stephy's Place from the 9/11 widows. And I've learned that, it's hard. You feel very alone when you first have loss because you feel, people don't understand how I'm feeling because perhaps they haven't had this loss. So, or they certainly didn't have your relationship, so they don't understand. So there's that lonely experience too. So when you get support, someone who can sit with you and not want to fix you, not want to make you better, because as you said, this doesn't heal. Well, it heals, but it doesn't go away. And that's the thing about grief. It does heal, which means it can soften and become something we can live with. But I was 20 when my dad died, and just yesterday I had a good cry. It doesn't go away. But I had that good cry, and you know what? I welcome it. Because I feel I'm connecting with my dad at that moment, right? Maybe you have that with your mom when you're missing her and you have that good cry. Just know that you're connecting with her. It's love. All you're feeling is love at that moment. And we tend to label grief as bad, but it's not. It's necessary. It's kind of the necessary pain we feel if we love someone and then we lose them. It's impossible not to feel it.
But having the freedom to express that too, because it's probably very hard when you're in that grieving moment and it hits you. And now to share that with other people, your friends, your family, your spouse, or whoever is there for you, they're not there.
Right.
Right? So now here you are bringing this heavy load of grief. They may not be ready to, you know what I'm saying? So it gets really, really hard to have that freedom to grieve. Sometimes you don't want to grieve because now you're going to make other people upset.
That's right.
I don't want to make my daughters upset. You don't want to mention it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a...
Yeah, it's so funny. And our culture, too, doesn't welcome grief.
No, any kind of weakness, really.
Right, and that's
not that
I'm
saying grief is a weakness, but
right. But I'm glad you said that
sure.
because a lot of people do think it is weakness, and it's not. It's love,
We talked about when's too soon, but is it ever too late to come and try to contact Stephy's Place? I mean, people who have unresolved issues with their loss of a loved one for a really long time, and it may feel funny to go 15, 16 years later, but...
Well, for Stephy's Place, unfortunately, we can't because we're limited with space. So we can't. We only take people about 3 years out. We just started a group for people who are more than that for loss of spouse. It's kind of an experimental group to see how that goes. But we haven't had the ability to do that because we just haven't had the volunteers or the space. But now we're hoping to do that. But to be honest with you, it's never too late to reach out for help in grief, because grief is a lifelong experience. So whenever we can reach out for help, talk to somebody, a therapist, a counselor, or a good friend, or somebody who isn't, again, going to try to fix us, but really be there for us, it's never too late. So I'm hoping at Stephy's Place we'll be able to take people who are further out, but right now we can't really do that because of the space.
Do you have about 5 rooms that you utilize?
Yeah, we have about 5 rooms. Our groups are about between 10 and 12 people. And we have morning groups and evening groups, a few afternoon groups. And we're Monday through Thursday. So we're closed Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And the groups are every other week. That's how they usually go. It's been wonderful. I've met so many amazing people. And I've seen them. What's amazing at Stephy's Place is when someone's been through a group for 2 years and we see that they might be a good facilitator, we'll invite them to consider being trained. And I have a list of all these facilitators who I have been in my groups who are now facilitating groups. It's just that's the coolest thing about Stephy's place. That's healing. When you see people stepping out of their own grief and then being there for somebody else, and they say, oh, that helps them.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah. Volunteering, when someone's ready, I always say, get out there and volunteer somehow. Connect with other people, because one of the things in grief is being isolated and lonely. And what's the antidote to that? Be with people. So I said volunteering is a great way to do that, because you usually meet nice people. That's who volunteers usually. And you're doing something that's going to feel fulfilling at the end of the day, and we all need that for sure. But in early grief, it's too soon. So we don't want to push that too soon,
And we know that Stephy's place doesn't really need people to come into the group because you have a waiting list, but you need donations.
Oh, we always need donations because we are a 501c3. Like I said, it's free, so we run on donations. We really do. And the waiting lists aren't that long right now. But we do have waiting lists. But what we used to meet every week, and then this past year we decided to go every other week so that we could pull people off of the waiting list, and that worked. So our waiting lists really aren't as long as they used to be. So, I hope people will contact us if they feel they can use that support. Absolutely.
The world, like in the last few years, it just seemed so heavy, just everything that's gone on, even since 9/11. But when you look at that, you could look at everything from a different lens. And if you look at all of the good things that have come out of 9/11, like a place like Stephy's place, these women taking their grief and making something amazing for their community out of it, it really does give you a little bit of hope.
It really does. And people don't know about it. I was like, this is the kind, I remember I wrote Ellen about it. Didn't get a response. Oprah was already done, so I couldn't. I think I did try Oprah at the beginning, but I said this is a story, just Sheila's story. Sheila Martella, who she moved to a new town. 2 weeks later, her husband dies. And
but not 9/11.
Yeah,
he did die in 9/11. Okay, I wasn't
yeah.
sure in the beginning what you.
Yeah, and so and now all these years later, she's. And by the way, not paid. She is the founding director of Stephy's Place and doesn't take a cent, which is amazing to me.
Yeah, you can.
Right? Well, we have some paid employees.
You can have a paid employee?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But she won't. She's my hero. She's amazing person. She's done so much for the community, like you said. By the way, we're in Red Bank on West Front Street. Mm-hmm. That's right next to Brothers Pizza.
Okay.
That's where we're located.
Listen, what do they say when you look at somebody you're supposed to see as a Christian, like Jesus in them, right? She clearly is. You know what I'm saying? She's our Mother Teresa, if you will. And I can't even imagine the countless lives she touched by helping them heal. Because if you heal that mother, you're also helping to heal her other children, her other family members, or her friend. You know what I'm saying? It's that circle that just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So it's not just the one person who came to grief counseling. It was the rest of their...
I never thought of that. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. So do you have any interesting advice that you can share? I don't want to call them tips. But just some advice that you've learned along the way that people can... self-help a little bit
leaning into the grief. Routines, I'm convinced routines save us. So to have maybe a morning routine or an evening routine, and this is when you're raw in grief, when you've had loss, but because we're wired to avoid it, right? Fight or flight, our brains are wired to avoid pain, and this is pain, so we don't want to feel it. So it's very natural for people to avoid grief, and most of us do. We run like hell from it. Who the hell wants to feel this pain? So people keep busy, or they'll jump into another relationship, or whatever it takes to not feel this pain. But the only way through it is to allow that wave to hit and to feel the pain. So leaning into it. There's a great book called Option B by Sheryl Sandberg. She was...
I read that.
Isn't that a great book?
Yes.
Yeah. And she talks about leaning in. Her and her rabbi wrote that book together. It's a really good book.
That was a great book. I forgot about that. Yep.
Yeah, so just taking time to lean in, maybe with a counselor or a therapist or a support group, or on our own. We can... let ourselves cry. Let ourselves miss our person. When we're ready, look at photos again. Grief can steal a lot from us. I remember my dad God, I was 20. My mom was only like 48 when my dad died, 49. But she wasn't able to really listen to music after that. And I thought, what a horrible thing for grief to do, to steal that from somebody, you know?
I don't think we're close to being that open about it but I think we're closer than we were back in the day. You know, like when my parents lost...
Their parents?
Their parents, or, I think my father lost 3 of his siblings in childbirth or something of the sort. So they weren't allowed to talk about it, It was just, I don't know what it was. I don't want to say it was taboo, but nobody talked about death, right? And a loss. So,
which is weird because we've been dying since we've arrived on the planet.
and we all are.
And none of us are getting out of this alive.
No, I think people are just afraid to go into that world of death and grief. But I think we're trying to make it more okay, if you will, to talk about it.
Yeah, with mental health in general, thank God. We're starting to talk about things that have been uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, right?
Right.
It's very personal, too.
Yeah. I mean, my suicide groups, we talk a lot about that. I mean, so many suicides are a result of mental health that hasn't been, either hasn't been treated or hasn't been diagnosed or just hasn't been addressed, And so we need to have more conversations on that for sure, just to, get it out there, and try to get rid of the stigma. Which gives me the opportunity. I know I'm talking a lot.
No,
please do.
But I started like a little campaign based on suicide loss, and I noticed you didn't do this earlier, but a lot of people say commit suicide, right? Commit. So my campaign is omit the commit, because when people commit something, they usually commit a crime or they commit a sin, right? And so when we talk about suicide, we want to say they died by suicide or they took their own life. But take out that word commit, because that puts in that stigma, and we're all trying to raise the bar, try to, remove that stigma. It's the way someone dies.
Right.
And it doesn't define who they are.
Right.
We'll never know what was in someone's brain. We'll never know, the pain that's obviously they were in pain, right? They weren't in their right mind.
Right.
So we need to pull away judgment from that, because there's absolutely nothing to judge. We can't know the recesses of someone's mind or someone's pain. So omit the commit, everyone. Omit the commit.
And admit the judgment, because you have no idea the person that, and you hear it so often, just give somebody a smile, just a simple, kind smile. You don't know what those people are carrying.
It's true.
Maybe they pulled themselves out of bed to go to 7-Eleven today. And, if you open that door or hold the door open for them, that can make, they feel seen then, right? As opposed to just ignoring them and going about your day.
So true.
I mean, listen, we've been around for a long time, but we still have so much to learn
right?
about being decent, humans.
That's for sure.
It's hard. Life is hard.
Yeah.
And it's not hard for everybody at the same time. I mean, maybe with the national, horrible thing that happened with 9/11, yes, but people go through different things at different times. And I think that also changes the way that maybe you can relate to people. Like I always say, unless you're in the quicksand at the same time, you don't remember how much it pulls you down, right? Because you got out of it. So talking to somebody who is healed a little bit more 5-10 years down the road is different than the person who just had that loss.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So the way you have to talk to them and process it and support them, it's not that, don't worry, you'll get over it.
Right.
That's the worst thing you can say to somebody, right? Because you don't get over it. You don't get over loving somebody.
No.
Right? So it's...
Yeah, try not to, I'm always, if we try not to say move on, right? Because that means we're leaving them behind. Move forward, yeah. We want to move forward, but not move on. Or what people say, get over it. I could write a book just on the stupid things people say to people who are grieving. I understand. I lost my dog, and you lost your child.
To be honest with you, when you're in a receiving line, I lost my in-laws. That's not much different than my husband. And when you're in a receiving line and you hear what some people say, you talk about laughter, you kind of want to burst out laughing.
I know.
Sometimes it's so ridiculous and
it
inappropriate.
Is, right? It's like, just shut up and give them a hug.
Yeah.
Where they stand there talking with the person for a half hour while there's,
Yeah, so how you doing?
88 people behind you.
Yeah, totally. Totally. People never cease to amaze you, for good or bad.
Yeah. And throwing blame and shame. Poof, it's terrible.
I like more the innocuous stuff that kind of makes you laugh. Like, oh yeah, Johnny's going to Princeton. Like,
right?
Who cares?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, well, thank you so much for coming on and for your time. And for those interested, you can find Stephy's place. You'll see in the comments underneath. We'll give links to the organization. You could get yourself on a wait list, or if you want to donate, but they're more than happily take their donations.
Oh, please.
Keep going.
Yeah. We need it, and we help a lot of people.
And these are your neighbors and your friends and people that you know that might not tell you they go there, but it's very local, and you're really helping people that you see every day.
Yeah, thank you.
And a lot of companies do a donation match, right? Will Stephy's place take corporate donation matches too?
Sure, we'll take anything.
Yeah, that's amazing. So people who are looking for, I don't really want to call it a tax write-off, but it kind of is, and it's a way to give back to your community. They can also look into, if they work for a corporate company, a corporation, if they can match that donation. And then, that $1,000 can become $2,000 or whatever it might be.
Yep.
Which is really fantastic, too.
It really is, and we have a really simple budget, so because we're mostly volunteers. But, we got to keep the lights on and the doors open and
pay an accountant,
the rent and things like that. Yeah. So, but it's a miracle, and I'm really glad and happy you invited me to share about it today. Thank you for.
It's such a privilege to have you on, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are going through their own version of grief and loss. And hey, listen, sometimes it is a pet, and if that's your biggest loss at this point in your life, that's a hard one.
Yeah, you're right. You're I didn't mean to make light of that.
No. I know you didn't.
But you're right.
But some people,
I'm a pet lover, and the pets are saving so many people who have had loss. The pets, are saving people.
That bumper sticker, Who Saved Who? You ever seen that one?
Yes.
No,
Who Rescued Who?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right. Thank you.
Yeah. It's
We were gonna have a group for pet loss, but we just didn't have the room.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, that's their significant person.
Or their child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my sister, she never married and she never had any kids. And when she died, she had a cat for 19 years. And my other siblings were standing in her bedroom and her cat was under her bed. It never went to anyone. We didn't even know what the cat looked like. And, of course, the cat came to me. And I took it home, and I became a cat lover. So now I have cats. I have 2 cats, yeah. But, this is interesting. So here's a sign. The sister died in August, and her birthday is January 4th. Wouldn't you know that cat died on January 4th? She had it for 19 years. It was her baby. She wanted that cat with her. So on her birthday, it went home with her. That was, it helped me a little bit because it was very upsetting, Yeah.
Wow.
But I get, I'd love to come on and tell you about all the signs someday.
I would love to hear
one. Good
really good, some really good stuff. Let me tell you. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.